Welcome back, everyone, to Take 5. My name is Luke, and today I'm going to be talking about Don't Worry, Darling. So today is Thursday, October 27th. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and liking this video. I generally cover most of the newer reviews, but I'm also planning to cover some of my favorite films, as well as films that have some connection to Arkansas, which is where I live. But today I want to talk about Don't Worry, Darling. This movie probably is out of theaters. There's a good chance it may still be in theaters for another week, so I would highly encourage, if you have not seen this film, definitely go check it out in the theater. This was one of my more anticipated films of this year after I saw the trailer, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Now, just go ahead and say this. This movie's been out for a while now, and I am going to get into some spoilers because I definitely have some thoughts around this, and it's hard to get away from getting into the root of this film. So definitely check it out, and then come back to this video because I think there's some interesting discussion here. I was actually late to seeing this. When this first came out, just due to scheduling, I couldn't see it right away. And then because of that, I started seeing a lot of mixed reviews, and it had me a little nervous, but I was still very excited to check this out and finally found a chance where I could go watch it. So Don't Worry, Darling is based around a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community who begins to worry that his glamorous company could be hiding some disturbing secrets. So this is directed by Olivia Wild. This is for feature-length films. This is her sophomore film, and it stars Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Chris Pine. Olivia Wilde also stars in this, among many others. We've got an all-star cast here, and they deliver. If you've seen the trailer for this, it is very unique. I mean, this is really focused around Florence Pugh's character, who is living this amazing life in this incredible place, but notices some very weird, peculiar things happening, just kind of through what could be maybe dreams that she's having versus what she's seeing happening with some of her neighbors and friends. And this film definitely has this almost Stepford Wives-esque vibe to it. You get a lot of vibes from some of these older classic movies. It's very, there's a rhythm going on. You see this trend. It's just very classic of like husband and wife, and some of these families have children, but it's kind of a routine. Like the house. There's a housewife. The wives don't work. They take care of the home. They provide for their families. The husbands work for this company who is basically ran by Chris Pine. He's the CEO, and they have this mission where they're saying that they're changing the world. Where they live is somewhere out in the desert, so the husbands will drive to their headquarters, what they call it, which is somewhere out in the mountains, and once they leave, then the wives kind of go to their day-to-day tasks. So it's anything from taking care of the home to grocery shopping to going to a ballet class, or just kind of hanging around with one another drinking. Which there's a lot of these little things that you kind of pick up on. They drink a lot. The opening sequence is kind of a bunch of the family couples hanging out together, having dinner and drinking and having a good time. And I quickly picked up that this didn't seem right because they drink a lot, but you never see these moments where they seem drunk or just going into that. So they always seem to kind of be leveled throughout all of this that's going on. Now, this movie is kind of classifying itself as a drama thriller. When you kind of see what's going on, it almost has this horror element to me, which we'll get into for sure. But kind of going back, so there seems to be this hierarchy of things. Chris Pine is running the show, but they're looking for loyalty, devotion to this company. the husbands are in positions where it's almost like they're bottom of the totem pole, and they're trying to get these promotions within the company and get more of a seniority-esque role, which is very fascinating. I think there's elements of that I wish they would have dived into a little bit more, but that's kind of what we're focusing around, is that Harry Styles' character is kind of one of these that's up for promotion, and there's like a big event where he gets promoted, and there's things that Chris Pine makes him do in front of everyone, which is mostly like this kind of dance sequence put on a show. Very interesting to, like, you know, kind of puppet master-esque. It's like Chris Pine is the puppet master, and everyone will basically do anything for him because they're so fixated on whatever they're doing to change the world. And there's elements of this that get very cult-like in a way. It's, you kind of have moments where you're thinking, like, are they just part of a cult, and like, what are they really doing? But going back into more of Florence Pugh's character, she's really gets focused around the neighbors and what they're doing. We see some new people move into this neighborhood, but Florence witnesses one of her friends essentially kill herself. She's standing up on a rooftop and basically slashes her throat and falls to her death, and it freaks her out. And as she's running, she notices that these other people kind of appear rather quickly to take her away. We see that she witnesses other people arguing. She witnesses Chris Pine's character paying very close attention to them and what they're doing behind the scenes in other rooms. There's also a doctor that they call, and he's a very intriguing character because it just gives you this really odd feeling like he knows more than what he's leading on. And we get into this almost this psychiatric element of, like, if people are kind of paying more attention than they should, let's get them back on track. And so I just want to kind of dive in now into kind of the reveal and what's going on and kind of my thoughts around it. But Florence Pugh does run away to go into the mountains, to go to this headquarter environment, which is some building. But we don't really get to see what's in it. It just seems like it's this glass wall, and when she presses against it, this light happens. And then, when she first visits, she kind of is back at the house. But essentially what we discover is that once we get into the third act of this film, we kind of shift gears where we actually see Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, their characters, but it's more in like this modern world where Florence is a nurse. Harry Styles' character has lost their job, and now they're just kind of staying at home trying to find work. And we see this rough patch between them. It's really weird how all this comes about, but we see, like, okay, we're now in this modern world. They are in fact married, but they're having a lot of issues. And we then discover that Harry Styles has discovered this company, which it seems to be actually ran by Chris Pine in kind of the real modern world, but it's basically this virtual reality escape. Then we then see that Harry Styles and Florence Pugh are laying in a bed, and they have this attachment over their eyes that's transporting them into this other world. So basically what we've discovered is that this 1950s world is essentially just like their version of the metaverse that we're getting, like their version of virtual reality. They're basically struggling in real life because one can't provide for the other, and they want to be more intimate and physical, and there's just a lot of disconnect there. So Harry Styles is basically wanting this perfect life, this perfect world. So when the husbands are driving away, essentially what they're doing is they're actually leaving the virtual reality to go back into the real world, where they can actually go get a job to pay to stay in this virtual reality. So they're trying to keep their spouse locked in. And then we also discover some interesting things where Olivia Wilde's character is aware that she's in this virtual reality. Basically, the wives are unaware. It's the husbands that are kind of controlling everything, and the wives don't know that they're locked into this virtual reality experience, except for Olivia Wild, which we find out more that she's only in it because of her children. I think her children are have either passed away, or they're sick, or she can't have it. Basically puts her in a position where she can be with her children, and she's just aware of everything and just kind of is okay with it and tries to keep the facade going on. So to me, this was like really intense and horrifying, and I mentioned this to one friend, but this whole like situation and element reminded me of how I felt after watching The Big Short. This is going to seem really weird, so please bear with me and listen. Like, if you remember The Big Short, that film was all about the 2008 housing collapse and the people that knew it was going to happen, and kind of what they were doing to gain from it. And it just kind of put me in this feeling of like I was in college during that, and I remember the impact that it had on me, and everything from financially to seeing how it was affecting other families around the world and those who were losing their homes and struggling to make their house payments and things like that. But when you look at this, in this world where they're basically transporting themselves into this virtual reality experience, like that's coming. That's what's being built right now. When you see what Facebook's doing with Meta, and you hear these terms of metaverse and virtual reality and AR goggles and VR goggles, like this is coming. Like, we may not see this in the next 5 years, but we're probably going to see this. You know, this is going to be more and more of a reality within the next 50 to 100 plus years. And so it gave me a very similar sense in the same way of knowing, like, from a viewpoint of like, I've already experienced this one event, but I'm witnessing this other event that's occurring right now, and it's going to happen. And year to year, this technology is going to get better and better, to the point where, yeah, eventually, like, we won't have these giant goggles. We're going to have, like, essentially these contact lenses, or these things that they kind of showcase in this movie. And it's a pretty wild experience. But yeah, to me, this gave this more of this horror, terrifying element so that I could relate to. And overall, I really enjoyed Don't Worry Darling. This, to me, I'm on the side that really enjoyed this, and I could understand what they're trying to say here, and I already see where this is going in real life. You know, overall, like, the second act, I think could have done a little bit better to tie things together, and there's a lot that you discover in the third act that I wish they could have dived into a little bit more. But there's a lot within what you get in the third act that you can kind of see that's going on right now, and you can see like where this is going, and it's a very interesting story. And I think it's very well done. When you look at the 1950s setting, it's a beautiful movie. Like, everything is really detailed, and it's just a beautiful film to watch. And then when you really can sink into the story and kind of the reveal at the end, it's a really good watch. I really enjoyed this. So I'm gonna give Don't Worry Darling an 8 out of 10. This one could creep up into my top 10 of the year. There's still a lot of movies coming out. There's a lot that I'm seeing, but this is definitely higher up on my Letterboxd list. It's right below my top 10, but once we get closer to the end of the year and I start kind of reviewing everything and making changes, this could creep up there. I don't know. It should be out now on digital to purchase. I'm very curious to see if anyone's going to pick this up to stream, but it's definitely one I want to check out before the year ends and watch again. I really liked it. I'm very curious to seeing what a second viewing could do with this film. So thank you so much for checking this out. A little bit longer, but I want to just get a lot of my thoughts out on this one. I really ended up really enjoying it. So definitely go in this and let me know what you think. Did you like this? Did you not like it? Were there things you were confused about? What are your thoughts in terms of like the future of VR or the metaverse and things of that nature. I'd love to know. I have a background in tech, so I get really into this kind of stuff. So thank you so much for checking this out. I'll be back again soon. I definitely want to talk about Halloween Ends, and I've got a special video I'm planning to release on Halloween Day next week. So stay tuned for more. Can't wait to talk more movies, especially my thoughts around Halloween Ends, because that's a controversial film as well. A lot of people are putting out their thoughts around the Halloween franchise, so I want to share mine hopefully tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe, like. Once again, thanks so much. Also, go subscribe to the Agents of M.A.C.E podcast. We'll be releasing our episode soon on Werewolf by Night, so excited to get that out as well. Have a great week, everyone, and get ready for Halloween.